You don't get any second chances with frontline workers, and
Yeah.
that's important. Yeah, I mean, one mistake on payroll, isolved actually has a stat on this, and some of the other players in the space have come out with stats that kind of corroborate it. They've all been around the
Mhm.
same percentage. A very high percentage of people are going to consider looking for a new job with just one payroll mistake. I mean, that's
Wow.
so
I
you don't
haven't
even.
seen that, but I completely agree. And as an employer who does want to do the right thing and be that excellent employer, it boggles my mind the stories that we hear.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of Small Talk Window, where we have a short, small window of time, 10-ish minutes or so, to dispense with the small talk as quickly as possible and settle into a meaningful conversation around the world of work. And my guest today is Lauren Miller, owner of an Arkansas-based franchise location of Right at Home. Right at Home provides in-home care services to people such as seniors who face physical and other challenges. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. You've had some really good experiences with iSolved, and you have some really interesting philosophies to share around the employee experience and all that kind of stuff. I mean, eh, honestly, I wish we could have captured our conversation previously on a recording because it was awesome, and we're going to recapture the magic here. Um, and you were telling me that having a good HR technology platform has been indispensable, really useful in giving you the space to focus on building trust with your employees. And it's also been pivotal in freeing your employees from having to deal with the minutia of their employment. Does that pretty much capture it?
It does. You do a great job. I like how you talk. There's so much we talked about. Yes, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Well, thank you. What was it that got you involved with Right at Home? What was that whole sort of story there?
So thanks for having
Yeah.
me. I appreciate the time. The inception of Right at Home really comes out of one of the most painful seasons of my life. My mother fell ill very quickly, and she actually was diagnosed and died within 28 days. And so it was just a very hurried, it was just a hard season. And the agency that we utilized in helping her maintain her independence as much as we could in her home, they didn't have her best interest at heart. And so that's a long story, and we can go into that another day, and that's going to take much more than 10 minutes. But that's really what, excuse me, coming into this industry as a consumer, from the consumer's perspective, was just very important to me. I think truly it's what fueled the tenacity that I have and the drive for just offering excellent care. And um, yeah, I think that's it.
That's really inspiring. And my condolences. And
Thank
that
you,
was a
hon.
really, yeah, I mean, it was a tough thing to go through. And but you know what? It's really inspiring to hear someone's story like that and to see them kind of, go into a profession, into an industry to try to make things better. And
Hmm.
I mean, that's huge. And this was an agency. It was another agency other than Right at Home. And I'm guessing you kind of looked at the different types, the different organizations that provide this stuff, and
Hmm.
there was probably something about Right at Home that really, impressed you. What was that?
So interestingly enough, and we've talked about this a little bit off air, I'm not a typical CEO business owner, and I really knew coming into this that there are things that I don't do well, and some things I just don't have any point of reference on. I've told you about words I've had to Google after I go into meetings because I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know what they mean, and that's truthful. I mean, that's truthful.
Yeah,
And I knew that I needed from a franchisor a really strong support some coaches, a team that would be able to support me as an owner and my giftings and my deficiencies, right? My strengths. And I knew what it was like to weather a brutal season, right? As a consumer, a daughter navigating care for her mother. And I do believe that Right at Home, my franchisor, really sees my heart and me wanting to serve people in similar situations. And it's where my dogged determination comes from. I mean, I just can't give up. And I really do believe that Right at Home has done a great job at helping me be the franchisor or the franchisee that I am.
That's huge to have that kind of a culture behind you, supporting your development as a leader and really helping you to be the most you can be. And um, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about culture and about employee experience at Right at Home, establishing trust, um,
Right.
and maybe how that relates to giving the workforce the tools they need to focus on the customer.
I told you when we visited earlier, I vividly remember the moment that it occurred to me. The motto of Right at Home, our mission is to improve the quality of life for those we serve. And the way I came into this industry again was from a consumer standpoint. And I went, oh goodness, I, we're 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 serving our caregivers. We're serving our caregivers' families.
Mm,
And what I didn't tell you earlier is that that fearful that I hadn't really truly embraced what that was to be an employer. And it's as things are kind of chugging along and some steam starts to right. You're kind of moving forward. You've got some momentum, and I went, oh my goodness, we have to make sure that we're serving our field staff and our admin team really well. And you mentioned it earlier. Our caregivers are the lifeblood of what we do. They are front lines. And the last thing we want them to be worried about is if their PTO accrual is correct or if their paycheck has been direct deposited. And that's how we build trust with our care staff, right? Like we want to build trust with our clients and their families, but to
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, words out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
to close that circuit, you got to have your caregiver that trusts you as well. And I really do believe, I know it sounds maybe a little dramatic. I have a flair for the dramatic sometimes, but it really has helped us be able to be that excellent employer that I went, oh goodness, okay, we need to make sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that there was a moment, and it was a few months in that I went, okay, we have to make sure that we are improving the quality of life for our caregivers and their families as well. And so I think that's important.
You brought up a bunch of things. I just want to share with the audience here that we had sort of a title for this podcast episode today. It was we're employing. Well, the one we landed on was where employee and customer experience are nearly indistinguishable, and you bring up a lot of great points about that. But another one that we had was, you don't get any second chances with frontline workers. And
Yeah.
that's important. Yeah, I mean, one mistake on payroll, isolved actually has a stat on this, and some of the other players in the space have come out with stats that kind of corroborate it. They've all been around the
Mhm.
same percentage. A very high percentage of people are going to consider looking for a new job with just one payroll mistake. I mean, that's
Wow.
so
I
you don't
haven't
even.
seen that, but I completely agree. And as an employer who does want to do the right thing and be that excellent employer, it boggles my mind the stories that we hear from our care staff that people are figuring payroll by hand and they have to come pick up checks every Friday or every other Friday, and you have to wait in line, and sometimes they're incorrect. And how do you go about? I mean, that just to me boggles my mind that you would put so many constraints on the on the group right? Like you're like I said, the lifeblood of what we do, and it also gives me a perspective, and I feel like my team a perspective in the office that that's why we have people call many times. We have caregivers that just need clarification on, one line, one deduction, whatever that is. And that compassion and that empathy that we want so desperately to give to our clients and their families, we need to extend to our caregivers because they've been in a situation where they had to question that. And yeah, that's just it's hard to imagine, but if I hadn't heard it so many times, I wouldn't believe it. But it is true.
Yeah, personally, I've never been any place where payroll was, there were sort of they mixed it up on the regular. That just
Hmm.
I never
Right,
did. And so when I heard about these sources, I said, well, does this really happen? I mean, this is, but it does. It absolutely does. And I feel so bad for anybody that has to be in that situation. So you really got to have that sort of under control. And that those basics of employment, I mean, I like to call them the fundamentals of employment. You want them to be like the refrigerator hum in the
right.
background. You don't even know it's there.
I've had many discussions with caregivers where they've been asked to forego paychecks, right? Can we just pay you next week? And like I said, I really can't fathom that. I can't fathom that as an employer. I can't fathom that as an employee, right? I mean, I want to get paid. It makes us feel good, and it gives us the ability when people do call that we do know what we've done is accurate. We do know it's consistent. We do know all of the system that we've built in right behind the scenes that supports all of the aspects of payroll and all the services we use with iSolve, but really just it gives our team the ability to be confident in that, the confidence.
Yeah, yeah, it really is huge, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And you've shared some really profound thoughts around what it takes to create a positive culture, and it's not just. I mean, it is sort of the grand overtures and building trust and all that kind of stuff, but people really forget that trust is built upon all sorts of little minutia as well, right? And that's where
Absolutely.
getting that HCM platform right, getting the fundamentals, the basics of their employment under control so that they can focus on doing the job. I mean, this has just been what I've spoken to a lot of folks out there in the field, and this has been one of the very best sort of
Well, thank
examples of
you.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. I say us, it's me. But anyway, thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm
Thank
from Arkansas. We say y'all, so all
you.
y'all.
That's good. That's true. I've learned that over the years. But thank you so much for joining us for this episode.
Absolutely, friend. It's been a pleasure.